institutions of learning like secondary schools. So what is bringing us to this level? Why are the youth immersed in the issue of drug abuse and or substance abuse? And among these, when we talk about substances, we talk about drugs like weed, like cocaine, like meth, but also we talk about other substances like alcohol. And today on the show, I have two ladies that I will be speaking to regarding the same. So please join our conversation, and you can join the conversation on WhatsApp number 0709602592. Now the two ladies I'll be speaking to, one right next to me is Asaba Linda, who is the program manager at UNA Uganda. I will also be speaking to Nasanga Margaret, who is the coordinator of Uganda Alcohol Policy Alliance. Now, together, we are rethinking Easter celebrations, youth taking a stand against alcohol. Join us. This is going to be an enlightening conversation. Now, starting with you, Miss Margaret Nasanga. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you? And it's a pleasure to be here. Yes, as you have said, I'm Nasanga Margaret, coordinator Uganda Alcohol Policy Alliance. And I'm very happy for this privilege to come back again to talk about the young people, especially during this season of Easter. Thank you so much.
Okay, and I'm glad to have you. And we've had a conversation regarding the same, something to do with substances, not among the youth, but yes. So I'm happy to have you once again. Now, Miss Linda Asava, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I am excited to be on your program and to share my thoughts around young people and Easter celebrations and alcohol control.
Okay. Yeah. Now, coming back to you, Miss Nasanga, let's start with our topic of the day, rethinking Easter celebrations, youth taking a stand against alcohol. Yes. Why is this important and why this time?
Yes, rethinking about the Easter celebration is important, especially today. We all know it is Holy Thursday. Most times we put the end in mind. We think about basically Sunday. Where it is the final day for celebration, it is the day for jubilation, it is the day for the orgies, for everything, for fun, especially for the young people. However, there is a process that leads to the final day of the celebration. So we are here to rethink about it. It's a time for the passion, for expression of the passion of Christ, what he went through during this time, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, before we celebrate the Sunday. So even when it comes to substance use, when it comes to alcohol use, most times we think about it as a celebrating item. However, we are here to guide, to help the young people think about the process. What do we have to go through before we celebrate? Even as we celebrate the season, let us go through it with purpose, such that what we have worked for, we don't lose it at the end of the day. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now, rethinking Easter holidays. This is basically this conversation is aimed at us trying to find other ways of celebrating, but also nipping the bud where we have normalized the use of alcohol as a way of celebration. In Uganda, and I'm sure I'm right, you find that we have limited avenues for experiences, if I may put it that way. In most cases, many people's fun or choice of fun includes alcohol in some way, and because of this we are seeing many young people, children as young as 15 partaking of this,
even younger than that,
and that's really sad, because now this is affecting the brain development of these children, and of course their dire effects long term if they continue using these drugs. Now, but coming to you, Miss Linda, still on the same topic of us rethinking Easter celebrations, I would like to hear your perspective on that.
Thank you so much. You know, when you say celebration in Africa, in Uganda, when you go back in time, it is actually connected to alcohol. So if we are rethinking this, we have to rethink the whole culture. When you were growing up, what was, if you had a party, what is that thing that didn't have to miss? If you go to like Western Uganda, they had that local brew that they had to make for like a week, and then you know the function happens. But now when you come to rethinking, it is ensuring that we try and break that norm. We try and have the young people appreciate that you can actually have fun without alcohol. And it is possible. So it's a whole mentality thing. It's not like a whole policy, just put it out there, but more of a mental change that we have to encourage young people to like engage in.
Okay. Yeah. Now, recent reports do indicate an increase in the use of substances and alcohol. We had big articles in some of the dailies indicating this, and one would wonder, Ms. Nasanga, how is this trend affecting the fight against alcohol abuse?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, right now, currently, you find that we have a big young population. Over 75% of our youth, of the population, are young people. And you find that even those who are productive, about most of them, let me say 80%, are employed in the informal sector, whereby the pay is low. And then the other few are the ones that you would say they are employed in the formal sector. So they undergo a lot of frustrations that at times they are not guided on how or what to do. So the rethinking pattern now comes in. There are those who want easy come things, and forgetting that when they easily come, they easily go.
Yes.
I have a story of a young man called Brian. This was a young guy at the university where everyone knew all things are well for him, and they had high expectations of him. So it came to Easter holiday. They hired cottages, they hired a DJ, they got their drinks, they got their everything. However, after Easter, he had an appointment. There was a team that was coming to assess him for a scholarship. So he was there, caught in between. Should I go for this party or should I forfeit it? But because of the peer pressure of the friends, he said, okay, I'll succumb. He went for the party. Yes, he went and caught up with the party. So amidst intoxication, because he drank to stupor. So here came a video where he was naked, he was reckless, and it went viral. When he went back to university, everyone was aware of the orgy that they had during the Easter festival. So even when it came to the panel that was assessing him for the scholarship, because he was a very bright student, and this was a team coming to assess him, to sponsor him to go for further studies abroad. Everything was lost. In 3 days, everything that he had built for a very long time, it was lost. So we are here to call upon the young people. As you prepare for the celebrations of this Easter season, try to have your end in mind. What is it that you are likely to gain? What is it that you are likely to forfeit before you indulge in whatever you are planning? Thank you.
I think this is a really good message, and I like it because even where we are right now, on our team, we have many young men. So I hope this is hitting home and that someone is taking the message. But Linda, first of all, I would like to hear more about your organization and what interested you into all things fighting alcohol abuse.
Yeah, so it's called the UN Association of Uganda. So the UN Association of Uganda focuses on the young person. Usually there is this talk of having the young people on the table. But when you get them on the table, then what do they do there? So we build their capacity so that they are able to make meaningful contributions when they get to the table. These are the different platforms, the different audiences, the different rooms that they can engage in. For example, this recently concluded Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development. We had very many young people in there, and they were actually making meaningful contribution. So what pulled us into the fight and alcohol control is we deal with young people in education institutions, not only universities, but as low as primary and secondary. And the thing is, many of them, because of social media, they tend to get stressed. You know, when you're talking to them, we ask them, so what is stressing you? There's a lot of competition on social media. There's a lot of I can be something on social media, which I'm not really. And then the other, when Maggie sees it, or when Doreen sees it, they think I need to compete with Linda. Yet, you know, maybe Linda is just putting up a show. So you get stressed, Mom is not giving me this, and then, you know, before you know it, you're getting into alcohol. There's before I get into, there's a study that was done by the PubMed Center. It's a Pan-African medical journal with 1,000 university students. 31% of them consumed alcohol. 17% of them were doing like low risk, once in a while, like you take a bottle or two. Then 4% of them were heavy drinkers. And then you had 8% of them who had problems of drinking. Like they were facing those real problems. Then as I was coming here, someone called me and told me there is a young man who has been, you know, I'm told you take beer, and it gets to a point and it's no longer working on you. So he had started taking the spirit, UG. But UG has worked on him. It has burnt the whole esophagus up to the stomach. So he's in Mulago right now. And these are things that young people will not appreciate now, but with time. One thing they need to know is taking alcohol now can be fun, but the effects that come with time, sometimes you cannot deal with them. Because then that's when you hear people are soliciting and making how they call them? Car washes, you know, yes. to save someone who has been intoxicating themselves out of the door. So we got into the alcohol fight because we work in these communities. We interact with them. We know how to talk to them. We know how to engage them. But now if you have this knowledge and you have Maggie and the Alcohol Policy Alliance, you know, get into these societies, maybe we can, you know, reduce. It's hard to eliminate because, you know, there are many factors that lead to this. I'm told there's just another study that I've forgotten which one exactly. But many young people who come from families that have older people drinking alcohol have more than 50% chance of also indulging in the alcohol intake. So sometimes it's family, sometimes it's peer pressure. You get into this university and you're seeing the hot girls, the Doreens and the Maggies, and you're thinking, I also need to be like them. But what do? They, you know, they try this Kawani, also try it. Coming from a humble family.
And you know, there is a way social media has glamorized alcohol.
Exactly.
You are on Snapchat, you're on Instagram, you're on WhatsApp stories of people, and you see these beautiful girls dressed in what you'd call beautiful, depending on your your understanding of beautiful, dressed in beautiful outfits, and then they have all these bottles, and it looks fancy, it looks fun, and many young people seem to be going for this. But Maggie, coming to you, there is a survey by the National Library of Medicine which says that heavy drinking and problem drinking among youth in Uganda, and they go on to say a structural equation model of alcohol marketing, advertisement, and perceptions and social norms. Putting that together, I think my understanding is that the quality of advertisement that we have on different media channels, and of course the social norms. She did talk about what we used to do, or what we do as Africans when it comes to a celebration. Then of course the marketing that I already talked about, and perceptions. How do you think these shape the idea of alcohol among young people?
Thank you so much, Doreen. I think for the young person, because of the glamour, it looks real fun. And someone somehow thinks that it is okay. That's why someone calls it alcohol is not an ordinary commodity like the ones that we know. So you find that because of that infiltrated, decisive message, they end up thinking otherwise. However, when you test and you feel it is not what you thought, sometimes I wonder, why don't we let it go? However, you find that there is a time when young people feel that they need to belong. If I lose this group, where will I get another kind of attachment from? How will I make new friends? However, there are sometimes I tell young people that it's not a business of the cow and the tick, whereby if you get the tick of the cow, it will not survive anymore. So our young people need to get new coping mechanisms. How do we make friends? If your team starts to be self-destructive, how do you detach and start afresh to make a new journey? Because we have a purpose. That young person outside there, you have a purpose. Today I'm with Linda as my friend, and at times I feel I cannot coexist without her. But 5 years down the road, they are nowhere to be seen. I had friends in primary. Where are they? I had friends in Chitante secondary. Where are they? So there is a time when we feel we can't live without these people. However, it's true. A time is going to come. There was a time when you left your mother's womb and came to earth. There will be a time when you will part with your friends. So our young people have to learn to make decisions that benefit their personal lives, leave alone the effects of the group.
All right. Now, according to a report by Maristops, they do indicate that in Uganda, 64% of youth in schools reported alcohol use. And in recent years, the age of alcohol use has changed such that slightly more young people, ages 15 to 24, report higher alcohol use than older ages. And moreover, these youth who use alcohol experience social problems such as school dropout, economic and mental health problems. Linda, please tell us more about these problems. I'm just enjoying my beer. How is it leading to my being, dropping out of school? I'm drinking over the weekend. I'm drinking after school. How is that a problem?
It's interesting. I think like 2 weeks back, we had an outreach to one of the schools in Katwe. And they told us, there's a way we create this bond and people are free to talk to us. So they told us, for me to understand these things and pass, I need to have something, like something that makes me settle. If I don't have it, then things don't enter. I'll get into the paper and there's nothing. So imagine this young boy who is in Form 3 telling you that. And Form 3, that is like what, 15, 14? So you can imagine how early it starts. And this is not only alcohol, it is tobacco, it is kubar, it's the different things that, are around us. And then some of them are telling us, it's my uncle that maybe keeps sending me, and then these things look nice and I want to be like them when I grow up. So how it gets into their mental health is you start believing that you actually cannot do nothing without this thing, which is just killing your brain actually. Because sometimes we think, I saw a study about the energy drinks where you think, I'm feeling sleepy, instead of sleeping, let me put in a rock, boom, and then I'll get okay. It's pulling out all your energy, like all your reserve energy. And before you know it, you're even worse than how you started. So mentally, it drains you. It like finishes your all, that you can't do nothing when you don't have it. And then when you also look at, there's another study where they say the young boys and young men, it's I think around 10 to 24. They are like intoxicated like 24 hours. like from morning to evening.
And when you're like that, you cannot concentrate on vital things like education.
Exactly. You cannot do nothing until you want to escape and buy the katot, so that then you can start stabilizing and you be like you're thinking normally, and that is already damage to your brain mentally.
Okay. Well, during the conversation, if you have any questions for the ladies, the number is 0709-602-592. The same number is displayed on your screen. Ask your questions, share your experience. We will be able to get back to you with the feedback from the ladies. Now, Margaret, what Linda says is that there is easy access to alcohol for young people. If I can send a child as young as 9 to the shop, to the supermarket, and no one even asks for ID, then there is a problem. So let's look at solutions. I know that we try to pass the alcohol control bill. What do you think the government should do in order to regulate access to substances like alcohol, substances like drugs? We have tobacco, it's still being sold in the country, in as much as there is a disclaimer. I don't know if it is working.
And the ugly picture.
And the ugly picture of the lungs. Yes. I don't know if it is working, but from your perspective, you can share. What do we do? How do we regulate access? Because in other nations, like in the Western world, in the United States, the legal age to start drinking is 21. Same applies to the UK. And there is strict adherence to the law where people have to present IDs. So what do we do?
Thank you so much, Doreen. For our case of Uganda, right now we need a law. I think naturally that's how we are wired ever since the fall of man. We break laws. However, when there are no laws, it becomes worse. And I remember that in our bill we had a regulation for the age, the minimum age, which we recommended from 18 to 21, because by 18 the brain is still developing. The executive functions of the brain are not yet fully developed. But by 21, the brain is fully mature. So we need the bill, we need the law. So we call upon the government to look into it. Our neighbors, Kenya, they have a good law that has helped them to curb a little bit. They are far better than us.
I've actually noticed in Kenya you can't find alcohol everywhere.
Yes.
I've gone to supermarkets and they don't have alcohol. Some supermarkets don't have the license to sell alcohol.
Yes.
Then the liquor stores, they're not strewn everywhere like we do. Do you think that would help us?
Yes, you find that for them in Kenya, even the small shops, they are not allowed to sell alcohol without a license. As long as you are selling food items, stick to that. No business of sugar down. The upper stall has small bottles all around. And you can imagine those young children when they come. They have been sent for sugar and they see this beautiful, they're usually beautiful. The packaging is usually like
Have you seen wine bottles?
Yes.
They look inviting.
They look inviting. So there is some kind of picture that we are creating in this young brain that this is something good, yet the content is actually not good for them. So we need a law that can protect our children, a law that can protect the young generation. Because if we are building a nation, we need to have the right tools. And I know that a sober youth, a sober young generation is very key for us to build a strong nation for tomorrow.
Building on to what Maggie is saying, we had an outreach in Chimombasa. I don't know if you've been to Chimombasa. Have you interacted with Chimombasa? You need to visit these places. They are very close to you.
I think the only ghetto I know is Chiai.
Okay, now there's Chimombasa. So we had an outreach there, and we were privileged to have parents and children. And the children were saying they need to have family education. Like they need to have their parents sit down and all these things, because we only focus on the little ones and we forget the older ones.
And the older ones are the decision makers.
Thank you very much. So now, because this is like an entry to all the other drugs, we'll get into Chimombasa, and there's these tables, those little tables that they do a normal table, but then they add another stall. Then you have all these beautiful tot pots, UG, beautifully displayed. Then down here they have Bunzali, Simbambili, and then who goes to the shop to buy Kanzali? It's the little girl. And how much is this katot? 1,000
She will
shillings.
sell for it.
So it's it's interesting, yeah.
Wow, interesting. Now, your name, this is Mongufeni Zeno from Toro. He says, good morning, Madam Olive and the guests. Thank you for this topic. Happy Easter week. The challenge now with alcohol and other substances is the lack of enforcement of laws against alcohol use, cultural beliefs, and the increasing life challenges drive young people to alcohol use. For example, he named stress and anxiety. Thank you so much, Zeno, for your view. And then someone says, good morning, Madam Linda. This is Omlepo Ivan from Tororo. Thank you for the great concern towards the young people, as we truly know that the youths are the most vulnerable people in Uganda. Let them build self-esteem between themselves, and I also want all the implementing partners to come on board to support young people, most especially in Tororo, because most of our young people know that drinking alcohol is the only job to do. This is all caused by being idle. Yeah. Thank you so much for your views, but this is where we will end our conversation. I've been speaking to Miss Margaret Nasanga, who is the coordinator of Uganda Alcohol Policy Alliance. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for
And then I've also been speaking to Miss Linda Asaba, who is the program manager for UNA Uganda. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. We keep it moving on our X account, and the hashtag is UBCGMU. Stick around. Zakia Lucky is coming up next with Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express.
Yo, how are you? Check the shopping. Haven't you heard of the parish? Yes, I did, but I know it's real. It's together. Access money from the in a portrait project. Things are moving. Joko. You are, but live in poverty. Just visit your parish chief. Process of the economic, just like that. Parish development model. The government of Uganda, local government, from all lives of my parish, my life.
Enhancing, bringing it closer to the Ugandans have cost paid to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us Chitenge at selling Chitenge 17. So I don't know whether we
Understanding your and help you grow your business. Unnecessary loss. You can get direct Buza Kamis enhancing tax education to the taxpayer. Ugandans have questions to URA.
come at revenue, they tell us to at 10,000.
Studios income is good morning.
Well, back in school, alcohol used to be one of the things that we feared so much to associate with, but it is quite sad that today it is being used highly with, you know, the Gen Zs, which is sad, but I like that we have conversations like this that are talking about it, especially to educate them about the dangers. Well, a special good morning to Arsenal fans. I hope you had a great night. And we have an interesting morning today that will be diving into a very good topic that takes us back in the days. With me is Mr. Emmanuel Semwanga, who is going to be discussing, you know, vintage treasures that have been kept in museums today as tourist, you know, attractions, and also the roles that BRIMS is playing. We are happy to have you on the show, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, Lucky.
Yes. Please give us a background about BRIMS Heritage Resource Center.
Okay, thank you. My name, as Lucky said, is Emmanuel Semwanga, and I'm the proprietor of a resource center called BRIMS Heritage Resource Center. BRIMS Heritage Resource Center is located in Namugongo, Janda, and at BRIMS we pride in protecting and preserving Uganda's audiovisual heritage. That is our niche. Why? Because we noticed that there's been a lot of evolution in technology, and some of these things are getting extinct, but the generation is, and the generation to come probably doesn't have a fallback position to know what in the olden days, how things happened. So we are privileged to have the opportunity to be one of the players in this industry to make sure that we preserve this kind of technology.
I'm one of the most excited people to actually learn from this, because I'm also, you know, a millennial who missed out on those things, and it's nice that we are preserving them today. But I will start with asking what your inspiration was like to take action in preserving all these things.
Well, this started back in the day, in my younger days. I'm told by my mother that growing up I used to like collecting things. And actually this kind of goes to all parents. As you're doing your parenting, you have to make sure that you have to see those keen things about your children. They can be the things that are going to make their future. So I used to collect things as a young boy, metals, such kind of things, when I went to school or even to the market or something like that. But as I grew up, I noticed that probably this is something that was in my DNA growing up. So around 2000, I went to this space and found something interesting. It was a radio. So I asked myself, what could this be? And then the owner told me this is a radio. Then I remembered what we used to have at home growing up. My late father had a radio which many people would refer to as kabao.
Okay.
It was made of wood and such kind of thing. So I said, this thing is something that maybe could be of interest. So I started slowly picking up these items, moving around places. Whenever I found something unique, I collected it and brought it home. So over this span of years, I have now collected, I have a very big collection of items ranging from different audio-visual and many things that were used in offices, for entertainment and such kind of thing. So it's kind of wide range of collection that we have in our collection.
Where were you picking these things from?
Interesting. These items usually were domestic, in domestic homes. People use them for entertainment, such kind of thing.
Okay.
So if you went visiting and saw in someone's corner something lying, you ask them whether it is something that they want to continue using. Some people refer to them as clutter because they are obsolete. They are no longer used in kind of technology, so they don't want to use them, and they are either in a store somewhere or in a garage somewhere. Then they say, you can come and pick this and take it. Others will say, yeah, you can exchange it for something. And others will say, we are donating it to you, after explaining to them your vision and mission, why you want to collect these items. Yes. But the other places we collect nowadays is the scrap yards. Many things are going to scrap. So when you go to YSA, when you go to Katwe, you'll find them lying there and going to be either changed into other things. So you buy them, and because you know why you're collecting. Yes.
You used to collect and they didn't know the advantage, but here we are. And so maybe you can tell us the cultural additions to these as to why we need to preserve them, and how they are, being used today in regards to tourist attractions.
Absolutely. So if it is a single item, maybe someone might not find value in it. But when there are items collected and put in spaces, well labeled and displayed, then they are going to promote lots of things. One, they will promote tourism. There are many things, people, for example, who have not interacted with such kind of technology. For example, if you found a Gen Z and asked them what a rotary dial phone is, they wouldn't know. And maybe they might have watched a movie that had a phone like that, but they wouldn't know how the technology worked. But in our space, what we want to do is we make these things interactive. If you came to our space, you'll find this rotary dial phone giving you that nice ringtone, which we all hear in the movies. And then they will be able to receive a call off that kind of phone. Very old, but somehow they still work. So we want to make them interactive. When you talk about LPs, the black and white TVs, the vinyl players, people, bagaita mayinja, those big discs, people don't know that those were the first spaces where music was recorded, on those big discs. In our space, you find them working, playing that old walls music and such kind of thing. Very interesting. So we collect these items for 2 or 3 things. One, to promote the culture of conserving heritage. We would like to, people would like to know, we would like the community out there to know the far we have come, and probably the evolution that has happened over time. The other is because these things are no longer in use, they find their way in trenches, in trash, and end up probably having a negative impact on our environment. But when we pick them and give them a new life and use them as artifacts in our museum, they play different roles. They also play the conservation role, but also the entertainment for the communities, and also students to learn and do research about how these items worked. Yes.
You talked about seeing them in movies, and I was one of those who used to see them in Jack Chan movies.
Yes.
Yeah, it was quite interesting, and we used to ask our parents, of course, but they knew and we didn't know, and they would tell you this is what we used to see. But today we get to see them in actually music videos and film. I'm seeing these things being used. So what are some of the unique artifacts that you have come across?
Well, there is this very interesting, well, there are quite many. Personally, I might have my own, but when people come to our space, they also have their own. Now, personally, the one thing that I have seen that is very interesting for me is a video camera that doesn't use any source of energy that we know, apart from winding and unwinding. As it unwinds, that's when it records. These cameras were used around the Second World War. Now, where did I get this camera from? I was seated somewhere in Kalerwe. So this young boy moving with it, walking around to go and sell it to some scrap guy, and I asked him, "Come, I want to talk to you." I asked him, "What are you holding?" He said, "I don't know nange kalonze wali kuma," as in I just picked it from somewhere and I'm taking it to the scrapyard. So I said, "Give it to me. How much do you want?" He said he wanted 1,000 shillings. I gave it to him. I carried the item. So when I did research about it, it said that this is a camera that was used around the Second World War. Because at the time, sources of energy were not as many, so they had to innovate around how to use cameras that recorded on films or on cartridges, but where like you didn't have to have power. Like now you have batteries when you go to the field, but you didn't have, only what you did was to wind it and it recorded as you unwind as it unwinded. So that's a very interesting piece for me. Also, where I picked it from is also very interesting. The others are quite many. There is a sewing machine that we have that was manufactured in 1883, several hundreds of years, but it still works. It's a crank machine. You only need to wind it like this, and then it gives you products. So they are very quite interesting items that we have in our collection.
I'm interested in seeing that one as a stylist to see if I can bring out today's designs.
Yes.
And you talked about going to schools and telling these students about them. How has the reception been like when they get to see these items?
Okay, one of the things is that for sustainability of this project that I am undertaking, I've involved my family in it.
Okay.
I have 4 children and my wife. So what we do is that whichever school my children go to, we try to interest them into this kind of thing. And I let my children take on the responsibility of explaining to their peers, because they have their particular language that they use, and they are able to explain. For example, my son, who went to Uganda Road a few years ago, we set up this kind of exhibition in their space, and then he was trying to explain to them how the Google app we have now in the olden days was a globe. So it used to be in the headmaster's office. We have such a kind of thing. I think you can even see it on the screen. So that's the thing that they use to show people around the world. But today, you just press a few buttons on your smartphone, and there you go. So it's a kind of interesting, and you get to know how these innocent young children, how they react to these things.
The excitement.
The excitement. They will ask you, so on this phone, how did they receive a missed call, or how did they write an SMS on a rotary dial phone? Now, at the time, such kind of things were not in place. We never wrote SMSs or even phone missed calls. But because technology has evolved, today, even if someone called you last week, you'd go back and scroll and say, so-and-so called me, which was never the case at the time. Yes.
I saw you with a camera, and I was wondering, when you're taking the picture, whether it displays on the screen, and you said it doesn't. But I'm wondering, how were these people able to take these pictures? What if you captured only the ear without the face in it?
Now, I mean, I think then we need to appreciate the evolution we have gone through today. Today, you'll take a picture, scroll through it and say, I don't want this one, you delete.
Yes.
Those days, especially people who went to school around the 80s and 90s, the technology of developing and printing pictures was not in Uganda. People used to take, I mean, the things used to go to Nairobi.
Okay.
Take pictures on a camera, get the film out, load it in something, pack it, put it on a bus to Nairobi, it's printed, and then you get copies back after weeks. So, unfortunately, sometimes you'd come back and the pose that you wanted to pull off did not come off well, but then you had nothing to do, only to accept what you have. But thanks to the guys who are doing innovation, and actually the reason why we keep these things is for the new engineers to try and understand how the technology before was, how is it today, and probably how will it be tomorrow. You can never know what is going to happen tomorrow until your yesterday and today is properly secured. So we want to keep these kind of items, take them to institutions of learning, universities and such kind of thing, so that they are able to learn how the technology worked and how it is evolving. Yes.
So what are the policies or partnerships that you would like to see put in place to promote and protect this cultural heritage?
I think the Uganda government has done very well in trying to promote an environment that allows for the preservation of heritage. In the early days, we used to know the Uganda Museum. Everybody my age used to go to the Uganda Museum. But today there are several places where you can go to find this kind of heritage things. In every region, there is something. You go to Western Uganda, you'll find Igongo. You go to Mbale, Eastern, you'll find the Kakungulu Museum. You go to the north, to wherever, there is something that is in that space of preservation of our heritage. And I think what we need to do is to make sure that we follow through what policies government has done. But probably something that I would like to do is that there are also private people like me who are trying to do such things. And support into infrastructure development for such spaces is very important. If we have seen farmers get loans where they can get loans to expand on their farming, but people in our space don't have spaces where to get such resources to expand on our activities.
It's been quite an interesting topic. It's good that we have preserved all of this, and it has given chance to the Gen Zs and the others to see what used to happen back in the days. We are still on Good Morning Uganda, and we will be bringing you the facts about all of this with what used to happen back in the days. Please stay around.
Buza Kamiso now, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887 and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back from that conversation on vintage. Want to pick your interest from GMU Tourism Express. But welcome to GMU Business. My name is Julie Nantabamusisi, and here to take you through what's in the world of business, starting with a story that would tickle the tourism industry pink when Uganda Airlines begins its first direct route to London on May 18th. It will do more than shorten the journey, and that is between Entebbe and London. The business community sees the route as a critical test of the country's ability to transform the national carrier from a flagship project into a catalyst to trade, tourism, and investor confidence. At the Uganda UK Business Forum, that convened in Kampala, private sector leaders expressed optimism that the direct connection will significantly lower logistic barriers and open up new markets for Ugandan exports, particularly high-value goods. The national carrier's upcoming service to London, Gatwick, launching on May 18th, is being positioned by government as a pillar of economic transformation, not just as a transport milestone. The route to London is part of a larger vision under Uganda's 4th National Development Plan, aiming to increase the country's GDP from $50 billion to $500 billion by 2040. Treasury Secretary Ramadan Gobi also used the forum to push back at critics who question Uganda's airline's profitability. On her part, Uganda Airlines CEO of Jennifer Bamturachi revealed that the national carrier is committed to growing its international operations in line with global environmental standards. She added that cargo will be a key revenue driver on the London route, projected to rise from 8% to 25% of airline revenues by 2030. UK High Commissioner Lisa Chesney praised the route's potential to strengthen trade, but also acknowledged the long-standing visa frustrations for Ugandan travelers. And for those in the tourism sector, the tone is that of optimism. Uganda Airlines London route is being framed not just as a connection between two cities, but as a strategic link between Uganda's economic ambition and the global markets. Now let us talk about matters creative and arts culture. Uganda's 4th National Development Plan 2025-26 to 2029-30 will address the creative and arts culture sectors, primarily leveraging culture and the creative economy for employment and domestic resource mobilization. This was during the National Planning Authority 14th Annual National Development Plan Forum held under the theme The Creative Industry as a Catalyst for Economic Growth, harnessing opportunities and supporting Uganda's creative talent. The government, through the National Planning Authority and the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, intends to prioritize funding and policy reviews to establish the creative and cultural sectors for employment and domestic resource mobilization. Creatives contribute 3.1% of the global GDP and 6.2% of global employment. However, due to weak laws and poor implementation, Uganda still struggles to account for the arts sector, a major hindrance to its advancement. The Executive Director, National Planning Authority, Dr. Joseph Muvawala, hinted on how taxing creatives should be revisited. This was during the National Planning Authority 14th Annual National Development Policy Forum. However, some creatives think differently. Other issues discussed at this year's annual National Development Policy Forum included skills training, regulatory coordination, intellectual property, and patenting, among others. Gaba market traders have appealed to government to expedite construction of a state-of-the-art market on land they secured in 2003. Protect it from alleged land grabbers. This follows reports of an unidentified developer expressing interest in turning the land into a private parking yard and car washing bay. Government, through Kampala Capital City Authority, KCCA, secured land in Gaba and designated it for a market to accommodate over 3,500 vendors in 2003. To prevent encroachment, the 1.5-acre plot was fenced off. Recently, a signpost was erected by an unidentified individual advertising the land as a parking yard and washing bay. Residents and prospective vendors have voiced concern over what they describe as blatant land grabbing. Area leaders too expressed shock at the development. The LC1 chairman, Gabriel Musisi, says they wrote to KCCA leadership seeking clarification but received no response. And on Wednesday, Machindia Division resident City Commissioner Caroline Nanshemeza visited the site to assess the situation and seek a resolution. During the visit, RCC Nanshemeza tried addressing the angry vendors, but tensions only escalated. With resistance mounting, the RCC ordered the site locked until investigations are complete. However, this directive sparked another standoff as residents accused some leaders of betrayal. Now, looking at the forex rates, seeing as the dollar continues to drop and other rates, only the pound continuing to gain its momentum. As of 16th April, the dollar opened at 3,660.77, buying and selling at 3,670.77. By midday, it was buying at 3,660.18 and selling at 3,670.18 and closed in at 3,660.09 and selling at 3,670.09. The British pound was buying at 4,854.37, seeing it gain and selling at 4,867.64. The euro was buying at 4,154.20 and selling at 4,165.55. The Kenyan shilling dropped as well, buying at 28.20 and selling at 28.28. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.36, maintained but gained at selling at 1.37. And the South African rand dropped as well, buying at 192.47 and selling at 193.00. Well, that's it for today's JMU Business. Up next is the agenda with Olive, so stay tuned. Good morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Buza Kamiso now, enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
It is Good Morning Uganda. I'm Olive Monica Najoma. Thank you so much for being a part of this program. Now, the police crime report of 2024, especially when it comes to road accidents, did indicate that while the decline in traffic offences went from 528,000 to 25 cases in 2023 to 426,432 cases in 2024. There was this figure showed that there was improved enforcement, and yes, that was handled. But the rise in accidents remains a major concern in Uganda, because the same report did indicate that we had 25,107 crashes in 2024, and motorcyclists were the most vulnerable, with the 1,720 deaths, and also careless overtaking and speeding remained the leading cause. Now, as we get into the Easter holidays, there is usually excitement when we are getting into holidays of this nature. Today, we would like to look at transport and environment. And I'll be speaking to Mr. Tamale Wilson, the director of Country View Driving School, which has been in existence since 1983. Now, with an expert of his stature, I believe that there is a thing or two we can learn as we traverse Uganda's roads, as we ply different routes, especially for many that will be traveling to different parts of the country, upcountry, to enjoy Easter holidays with friends and family. So join us, and you can write to us on WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Good morning, Mr. Tamale.
Good morning, Oliver.
How are you?
Like that.
Like that?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means things are not easy, but at the same time we have to make sure we adapt whatever we are doing, we are using, and such things, more especially when it comes to safety, because you know, safety is for everybody, and you can't do anything without using roads, without using vehicles. That's why sometimes I'm not okay when I see accidents happening. You know that every second there is a minor accident. Every minute there is a serious accident. And every hour there is a fatal accident. So whenever we look at those things, I think you have been giving us some figures, but you know, that's too much when we lose lives, when people get lame, when people stay so much in hospitals. That's very, very dangerous. That's why some of us say we are not very fine. We are looking at everybody being okay and having very good life. Yes.
Also, the traffic report for 2024 did indicate that the number of people that were affected by road crashes increased by 4.4%, with 25,808 victims in 2024, up from 24,728 in 2023, and the fatalities rose by 7%, while serious injuries increased by 1.7%. These numbers do not paint a good picture. They paint a grim picture, especially if we put into consideration that 7,539 cases causing minor were registered. These caused minor or no injuries. Now, when you listen to these statistics, in your mind, these are just numbers, but actually these are people that are being affected by road crashes. Now, to put faces to these numbers, we lost 1,720 people in 1 year, 2024. Now, today, Mr. Tamale Wilson, let's talk about 2 seasons, because it also does seem like with the seasons, the accidents that we experience do happen in 2 seasons. Which ones are these seasons?
Yeah. Now we have like a rainy season, and we know that accidents happen a lot during the rainy season. We have the driving at night. Accidents happen a lot because people use artificial lights, and they are not using our natural, and some of them have defects, defected eyes and other things. Accidents happen during rush hours, but as you ask me to talk about seasons, we are going to talk about the Easter season. Many events are taking place throughout this year, 2026, but we are talking about the seasons, rainy, and also the Easter, which is now taking place, and we know that we have lost lives during the rainy season. I remember very much Olive, the one we had, the first one after having a lot of drought, but the longest drought we had, the first rains claimed 9 lives only that day. So when we talk about rainy season, excuse me, we know that people lose lives, people lose property, and people lose a lot of hopes and a lot of goals, ideas, and what people would have done. So those seasons are very dangerous to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Tamale, according to this report as well, it's showing that 6 p.m. and 7:59 p.m. are the deadliest times for road accidents, and it shows that over 3,780 crashes were recorded around this time last year. Now, still speaking about transport and environment, for you as an instructor, why do you think that accidents are happening for the most part around 6 p.m. and 7:59 p.m.?
Yeah, not only those hours or time, but at that time, let me talk about the 6. In the morning, really, people move a lot. I'm taking my children before I go to the office.
Yes.
I have to drop them before I sign in the book. Most people sign in books the time they came, the time they leave.
That's right.
But also in the evening, that is what we call rush hour as well. There's a lot of jam at that time. And if you, to make things worse, if it rains, that's when we get jam, a lot, floods, and other things. 7 p.m. towards there is also dangerous, like the rush hours in the morning. People are rushing home, people are going to different places, but also people have a lot of stress those hours. 6 p.m. Towards 8, that is about 7:45, people are moving a lot. So at that time, accidents happen a lot, yes. But also we have some other hours I can call them days. The report also can say that during the weekend, also accidents happen a lot. But you can wonder because, and you ask why, because there are a lot of movements during that time, maybe Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, and
but
yet,
do you know the reason why?
Why?
Accidents happen a lot at that time.
On Sunday and
on
Saturdays.
Sundays and Saturday, yes. Just because there are so many people, different people, categories using the road, more especially fast drivers. The fast drivers are those who are teaching themselves by their friends, maybe at their compounds, maybe at garages, maybe at washing bays, maybe at other places like rural areas. But also some come from driving schools and they are not really conversant yet with the roads and vehicles. So they drive on those days. They come out. Sometimes because traffic is not there so much. But
so
I've
these
seen,
are first-time drivers.
Yes, first-time drivers. They are not yet used to vehicles, used to roads.
So they choose those days where they think that
Yeah.
there is less traffic.
Yes.
And then cause accidents.
Then cause accidents. So they come a lot, many vehicles are there, and they make a lot of accidents. Yeah, so those are problems like that. But as far as you know, safety is concerned, always we have to be sure and understand and know what we are doing on roads to be safe.
Wow. Now, to add to what Mr. Tamale has shared with us, this report, 2024 Road Accident Report by the Uganda Police Force, indicates that Sundays and Saturdays and Mondays are some of the days when we experience the most road crashes on different roads. Sundays registered 3,790 road crashes in the year 2024. Why Monday?
Yeah.
What happens on Monday?
Monday, people are so much stressed. How am I going to be at the job?
That bias of Monday.
Yes,
it's
that
Monday
bias.
again.
And some are
Okay.
coming from different places, villages, and they have to rush to town. But also some of them had some behaviors of enjoying on the weekends. Some of them, they have hangover after, you know, taking a lot of alcohol and other things. Still, some people are planning, how am I going to go through this week? And that one also causes a lot of accidents to people. So after a long weekend, and as some people try to come in and catch up with conditions and whatever they are going to do, there's also a least rush hour, rush time at that time. That is Saturday, Sunday, including Monday.
All right. Now, some of the most common causes of accidents, as according to this report in 2024, included careless overtaking, which accounted for 5,657 cases, which is about 44.5% of the crashes, overall crashes. Then there was speeding with 5,505 cases. Then there was hit and run incidents, careless pedestrians with 946 cases. So yes, even you are a pedestrian, you can actually contribute to road carnage. And then there was mobile phone use. I don't understand why we still use our phones while we are driving. And there was also mobile phone use while driving. This includes talking on the phone, includes texting while driving. Then there was drunk driving. Then there was fatigue and disregard for traffic lights. Then there was rear-end collisions, commonly referred to as tailgating, which accounted for 16.2% of crashes, while side swipes made up 17.7%. Head-on collisions caused 13%, and angle collisions accounted for 10.5%. Now, why am I giving these statistics? Mr. Tamale, I'm coming to you on the behavior of people when they are driving, especially for instance in the rainy season and during times of excitement like the holidays? How are they, how does the rainy season, the holidays, contribute to the different types of accidents that I have just mentioned?
Yeah, as you have mentioned, those kind of things done.
Yes, what gets into us around this time?
Yes,
the season, the holidays, and then of course the seasons of rainy weather.
Yes, I would say whatever you have mentioned is all about human error. You know, people making a mistake. You have mentioned phones, you have mentioned many things. But you know, safety, like we talk about rainy and Easter seasons and other generally, starts with somebody. Somebody from your bedroom. You have to make sure that you are safe where you are going, starting from you person. Before I come to maybe vehicles and the way we use roads. This has to start as you come out of your house, the way you are going to prepare yourself, the things you do before you join our roads, and before you use any means of transport, because many people use different means, pedestrians, they are driving themselves, cyclists, motorcycles, other private vehicles, PSV, and also commercial vehicles carrying goods. So it has to start with you. How are you prepared? Are you fit and well to use the road? Don't come with your warrage and everything on the road and you just come and join the road. Don't be stressed. So always it has to start with somebody. Then we come to that very person to see what kind of means he's going to use. About the vehicles I've mentioned. Have you checked that vehicle well, thoroughly well, before you start it? Are the components of that vehicle? Oliver, you have to know that a vehicle is made of about 14,000 components.
Yes.
And you have to make sure that all of those components are very well in good mechanical condition. Then if you come to the vehicle, you have to make sure, we have even vehicles which don't actually perform well. Some vehicles, most of the parts are not mechanically well. Some vehicles are leaking and other things like that. Then we come to the somebody's behavior on the road. The way somebody is operating any kind of vehicle on the road, the way generally somebody is using the road. We are not going to talk about only drivers of different classes of vehicles, but we are also talking about people who are using roads in different ways. You are selling things on the road, you are promoting things on the road, maybe you are moving animals on the road, school children and other kinds of people. So we have to make sure that at this season we know how we are going to behave. How are you going to drive in different seasons? Yes, very many people don't know how. They think that when I'm on the highway, I have to adjust when I come to a different scenario, different, condition, adverse conditions and such things. So you have to know that if I'm driving somewhere else, people's attitudes now are very different now. The speed is so much in their brains, but also the speed is physically so much as they drive. Some people now are thinking, I have now to go and trade in this. I have to go to markets and get,
so there is a lot going on in their minds as they are driving.
Going on as they are driving. But also in the minds, their attitudes have changed. I know that Easter is not so much as busy as Christmas, but also you'll find that there are some movements, a lot of movements during this season. So always we have to think about somebody's behaviors, how you are going to use our roads, especially how you are going to interact with other people in the different sectors, but you know we are on roads, and how you are going to keep other people safe on our roads.
Okay. Now, I have a comment from Lubanjwa Henry, and he says, good morning, Uganda. All Ugandans should be patriotic while driving for safety of their lives. This is Assistant RDC Chiboga, Lubanjwa Henry. And he goes on to say, safety driving should not be considered only during holidays like Easter season, but even in our daily life. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, yeah, because this is recurring. This is something which should be almost personal, and something which should be routinely done. And whatever you're going to do, whenever you are going to move, whatever your goals are, whatever your dreams are, think about safety first. Because there is nobody who is doing anything and doesn't use transport in good and bad situations. If we lose some people, we ask, what is transport? How much is it? But also in exciting times, we need transport. We have a lot of stress. I heard you all talking about the stress we have, exciting. But also we have sad stress. Both of them are dangerous. Yeah, the exciting, you can say you have got some money, maybe promoted, maybe.
So you're so happy.
Yes, you are so happy, and you go on bumping baby, and you are obstructing everybody on the road. Instead of somebody coming out of it, it's like these days people using wrongly the hood on taxis, even border borders, and other people, you know, commercial, you know, vehicles. Mama, are you going? Now somebody will not make a difference between somebody trying to call him to enter his vehicle or on his motorcycle, but he continues walking on the road. So that one is bad. Oh, and also sad stress. When you lose somebody, then you lose money. Maybe your house will caught fire and such things. There is something in my language, you say, that kind of thing. So that is also another stress which can cause a problem. So we have to understand that all the time safety is needed for all of us. But also we have to know that how are we going to do that? How are we going to go through that? Training is very important. Respecting others is very important. Knowing what you are doing on the road is very important by going to train. And training is in two parts. That is the areas. The areas of driving are there. That one, if I talk about the areas, I talk about skills, I talk about knowledge, and I talk about attitude. So if somebody is not well trained into those areas, he's not going to behave very well with others on the road. But also we have to know that yourself, a person who is walking, who is using our roads, you have to be fit. How are your eyes? How is your brain? How is your body ability to handle? How are you going to deal with others? So those areas we have to be very careful. Always when you are going to use the road, you have to know that I'm not alone on the road, but also I'm interacting with others, and I have to make sure for the safety of the people I have on my vehicle, like a bicycle and the motorcycle, and in my vehicle, and others surrounding me, like those we call third party.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, as an instructor, Mr. Tamale, tell us about the do's and don'ts while we're on the road.
Yes. Especially, how you've told me to talk about areas like rainy and also Easter. But we have to know that on the road, you have to follow rules. Have you done that? Don't just come from anywhere and join our roads. Driving is all about rules, laws, regulations, guidance. and etc. So you have to make sure that you know those things. So don't come to the road and just drive your own things. Me, I'm from the village. I've had my bicycle. Now I have got a Mugaga who has given a border. How are you going to use that border? Don't just come to the road. Most people don't know what they're doing. Most people are not trained. Most people ignore. Most people don't have respect for others. So please don't do those things on the road. But also, if you are going to behave very well with others, you can do some of the good things. You can do some of the good things knowing that, okay, I'm now going, I know where I'm going, I have made a trip plan. A trip plan means that you are not going to hoot at everybody. You are not going to change lanes. You are not going to drive a speed which is not allowed. You are not going to misbehave with others, be selfish and mistreat others. So always you have to make sure I'm a good person. I'm a person who is reasoning enough to make sure that even I can give my right of way because of somebody's safety. So always make sure when you are on the road, you behave very well, you do very good things, you are disciplined, and you practice a lot of courtesy.
Practice a lot of courtesy. Well, join us in this conversation. Today we are looking at transport and environment, and I am speaking to Mr. Tamale Wilson, who is the director of Country View Driving School. Country View Driving School has been in existence since 1983, so I believe that he has achieved the moral authority and the expert authority to speak about anything and everything road safety. Now, join the conversation. The number is displayed on your screen. It is 0709-602-592. Now, Mr. Tamale,
yes,
help us understand personal safety, because when we get into these cars, when we get into the taxis, the buses, the personal cars, in most cases we think that our safety is in the hands of the driver. But help us understand personal safety from the moment we leave our houses onto the roads. If I'm driving my car, if I'm being driven, if I'm on a border, how do I ensure personal safety?
Yeah, you talked about when I'm moving, when I'm being driven. But also in defensive driving, we can say that driving and being driven is a necessary evil. If you know that.
Yes.
There is no way you can avoid to jump on a border. There is no way you can avoid using any means of transport.
Using a bus.
The vehicle puts you down,
yes.
The vehicle overturns, they put you on another one. There is no way you can say, I will never go to any kind of transport. Leave me alone. Let me die here. When the blood is coming out,
you can even find yourself on a border.
Yes.
You've been driving your own pain code.
Yes.
Yes. Because a border rider is the first responder taking you to the hospital to receive first aid or treatment. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Now, personally, as we have mentioned, think about your fitness, number one. Number two, think about the code of dressing. Now we are in a rainy season. What kind of clothes are you putting on?
Warm clothes.
Okay. Haven't you seen? I saw people fighting 2 days ago. Somebody spewed, somebody was driving responsibly and, you know, sprayed some water on somebody's clothes, and that happened to be a kanzu, and maybe I understand that he was going to Kuranya somewhere, or for a certain kind of introduction.
Yes.
But instead of this one saying, I'm sorry, the man came out and they fought, and there is, you know, there's a penalty for that. When I started driving in 1983, when I bought my first vehicle in July, the penalty was just a bar of soap.
Wow.
Yes, but these days, who can you give a bar of soap now? Isn't somebody fights you? So we have to behave. The speed we are driving during this season, both of the seasons, rainy season and Easter and other things, we have to think about other road users. We have to think about yourself. What are you doing? How are you moving? At what time are you moving or using the road? Many people are killed. Many people are destroyed by pavers. Which places are you passing? At what different times are you moving on our roads? Why don't you make a plan? Where am I going to get fuel? And how am I going to use the lanes? You see, people, we are going for wedding. We are now going for the cake and rice. But also we have to think of a flower or a flower, something like that, at your house. Now, where do you start? Think about and be particular. I'm going to pass here. I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to end up with this one, so that you don't delay people. You don't always obstruct people. You don't always break rules and laws. You know that these days penalty is high. Or if did you know that there is a penalty of 6 million?
For what?
You make a case. So if you have an offense, traffic offense, there is a penalty of 6 million. I know that you have that money, but there are some people who don't have it.
I don't have it to give it to the police.
Or to courts of law.
Or to courts of law.
Or other
so
things.
That penalty pertains to what offense exactly?
Yeah, different offenses, because of negligence, because of somebody being impatient, because of somebody not thinking about others, and because of some people missing training and other things, so they don't know what they are doing. But not knowing what you are doing doesn't mean that you will not be penalized. So always, if you want to be safe, think about yourself. It starts by you. Penalty. And if we think about the many accidents happening, we don't have to come and do the task as a group. But we have to think with somebody personal, his behavior, how is he nurtured, how is he created, and how personality is very important. Some people are rude, some people don't want to know, some people think I'm rich, I have a very expensive vehicle, but roads are about rules, laws, and regulations.
Roads are about rules, laws and regulations. This is really good. Now, speaking about laws, I do understand that eating while driving is actually illegal. And I don't think many Ugandans know this, because you will always find a driver eating while they are driving. But please help us understand why eating while driving can be dangerous.
Not only eating, Oliver, but since you have mentioned that, it is now within the Act, or the Highway Code, derived from the Traffic and Road Safety Act. Eating has a penalty these days because it's an obstruction, it's a distraction.
How so?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using my mouth to eat. So how is it a distraction?
Your mouth to eat.
No, I want the Ugandan to understand.
No, these days, they have created a scenario whereby they have these caps according to the new technology. They put the cap here, they put the bottle, like a mineral water bottle. I have my food kind of flask or something like that, and somebody moves on while driving. You can have a problem if you are trying to put a bottle on your mouth and then something crosses, cuts across in front of you, and now you unawarely and you break forcefully, and that one is harmful to other people. Now, what will you save? And you can see some people riding bicycles or motorcycles, holding a child or something, or trying to eat. That one can be a problem as you hold a bottle to your mouth and as you negotiate a corner or some situation and the hands mingle or get within the steering. That one is dangerous. So we don't allow. But also, vehicles should be clean. But you can count about 10 vehicles. At least only 9 which will not have cockroaches, buggers and other things. So always we have to keep our vehicles clean and we have to avoid being obstructed.
Okay. Mr. Tamale, we are coming to the end of our conversation, but I would like to share a comment. This one says, good morning. There is what is called DMC, dangerous mechanical condition, vehicles that are not fit to be on the roads. It's the role of Uganda Police Force Traffic Department to make sure these vehicles are impounded to prevent accidents. Also, drunk drivers' licenses must be withdrawn, but most times police traffic officers connive with the owners and exchange hands. This also leads to fatal accidents. What do you say about that? Like in a minute as we close, let that be your last remark.
Yes. Always make sure that some of the behaviors we do on the road can be dangerous. Always think about others on the road. Always plan your journey on the road. Always don't use drugs. I'll put together that one. I wrap everything together. Don't drink and drive and other things. Always make sure you follow all safety measures. Put on seat belt, vehicle mechanical, not DMC. Always make sure that you keep our roads very clean, more especially in this rainy season. Don't power things in trenches and other things which cause floods and other things. Always make sure that you are timing your journey. Don't put the whole family in one vehicle. Go in shifts. Some go in the morning, afternoon and evening.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you have to make sure.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Tamale. Maybe share your numbers before we...
Yeah, Tamale Wilson is my name. Country View Driving School, Director 0772 410 480. 0702 28 6104. www.countryviewdrivingschool.ug is the website.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Tamale Wilson. We've been talking matters transport and environment. And I'll end with a comment which from Sister Allen, who says, good morning, madam. Everybody watching to know what drivers who drive recklessly without considering a change of seasons are from somewhere else, but products of Country View drive carefully and are well disciplined because they are trained to be so. Thank you, my brother, for everything you do for the country. This is from Sister Allen. Thank you so much, and all the other viewers and the people that have been sending in their comments. Thank you. We'll take a short break, and up next is Good Morning Uganda Sports Updates.